Hello, Filmmaker Focus NYC fans. We're here again in the Village for a fantastic interview with writer, actor, filmmaker Anthony Giordano. Hey, Anthony, how are you today?
I'm great. A little warm, but I'm liking it.
That's fantastic. So, you have a hyphenate. What did you start with? Like, what was your first thing that you started with?
I think I started writing plays first for my professional career, and I was very fortunate in that one of the New York production companies decided to do my first play ever, and it was my first play I had ever written, and they decided to do it, and I've been hooked ever since.
Oh, that's fantastic. What was the play about?
The play is about four women from various backgrounds who meet in a tap school in New York City, and they each have a problem, and they have to resolve the problem. We actually stay in the tap room the entire time. The unfortunate title is called Tap Dreams, which I love the title, but nobody ever really tap dances in the movie because we made it into a film later on. And everybody always asks me when they come out when I was waiting for them to tap dance. So I think I should title it something else.
Well, it is a dream. Doesn't necessarily mean it's like reality. So were you ever a tap dancer? Why did you pick tap as the place for these women to meet?
Well, yes, actually, I studied tap in the city with Phil Black. In my younger days, I was a dancer, and I was in a dance company in New York City. So I think tap schools and all dance classes kind of bring together a very diverse group of people, and you just bond because those steps are hard.
Yes, they are. Do you do any other kind of dancing?
I did jazz. I studied with Luigi in New York City. That's why I could get into a dance company, because Luigi, when I was young, was the preeminent dance teacher in New York City. And he was great, and so I was very fortunate to study with Luigi and Phil Black for tap, so I got into a dance company. But, writing is a lot easier on the feet.
Yeah, I'm sure. Do you still put the play on anytime, anywhere?
Tap Dreams is still done, yes, it's done. We turned it into a film, but Tap Dreams has been done in South Africa, in Australia, in England, and a couple of places in the United States, because most of my plays are unit sets. They take place in a very small place, and mostly about women. So most theater companies have a lot of women and no resources for sets. So that's what I write.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Thank you very much. Yes, go for the women.
And every role has at least one great monologue. That's my goal, because as a former actor, I know if I'm going to come for 6 weeks of rehearsal, I would like something really good to say out there sometime.
And have you traveled to all of these countries with the play?
No, I've never done that, because unfortunately in this kind of theater, there's not a lot of money for royalties, so I couldn't afford to go. I have seen my shows. I saw a show in Buffalo last year, Buffalo, New York. One of my newer plays, a high school play, was done in Buffalo, and that was great fun. So.
Do you ever talk to any of the people who are directing this play in other places, just to so they can get your idea of what you wanted to say, or just to be in contact with that person, so your voice is still heard?
I'm always available, and when I know they're going to do it, but most of the time I don't know, the agent does it. But I kind of think that the director is the one who should do everything, and that my play should stand on their own. If they don't stand on their own, and sometimes I actually have had go backstage to say that the actors did a much better job than I wrote. The character was much better because they flush it out. They have real life. And sometimes it actually is almost a different person. But that's good, because they say the words as long as you say the words. Don't add monologues. I actually have heard people add monologues, which is not a good thing for an actor to do. But actually the actors and the directors, I think that's where it should be. I shouldn't interfere with that. That's their job. And they do a fabulous job. I'm always happy, always.
Oh, good. I'm glad. So can I also then ask you, what was the inspiration for Johnny Awesome?
Tell
us first a little bit what Johnny Awesome is, and then tell us what was going on.
Johnny Awesome is a screenplay written by Joseph Harvey, and it's a superhero kind of thing. And we wanted to do something that's kind of a comic book thing, but we have a very limited budget, so we called him Johnny Awesome. And he goes around saving people, and we don't exactly know what his power is. You don't actually know, but you know that he can catch the bad guys. And it was great fun. It was great fun to do. Yeah, we now have a new time traveler character. Joe has written a new script, and this is a series of a time traveler, and he has come to tell people that something is going to happen, but don't worry. And then he leaves. That's the first episode. And they don't know what it is. They don't know if he's really a time traveler. They think he is. He seems to disappear, but we have to see what episode 2 brings. We don't know.
I love it, the suspense. Can I ask you, why did you decide to do a film noir style?
I've always liked film noir. I mean, The Maltese Falcon, Casablanca, these are all the Dashiell Hammett stories. These are my favorite things. And I think, not that I don't love musicals, obviously. I love musicals, having been a dancer. But I like movies that are small and intimate and where the dialogue is important. Maybe that's because I'm the writer sometimes. But even when we're filming Joe's script, I like the actor and to have dialogue. A lot of modern movies have very little dialogue, although we now have a project where there will be no dialogue in our next film.
Oh, really? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, it's a story about a young boy who goes to the beach. He is a worker in a Chinese restaurant, new to America, has never been here before, and he is desperate to mix and mingle. And then he sits on the beach and things happen, and we find out that he doesn't mix and mingle. And so it's a kind of a sad story, but there's no dialogue. It's just his experience being the only immigrant among... Yes, just the images. In fact, I just met the actor this afternoon.
Oh, really?
I did. Actually, while I was on my way here, it was very... I ran into somebody that I was chatting with, and he's an actor, and he's Asian. So I said, how would you like to be in a movie?
I love it. Look, he got discovered just like that.
Exactly.
So, but you don't only write screenplays, you also write novels and young adult novels, correct?
Yes. I have a novel out called Another Boring Summer Again. It's about a 12 to 15-year-old boy who is on the outs of society, kind of. He's heavy, he's not, with it. And he meets somebody who is even worse off in his school than he is, a young boy from Brazil, who were living with missionary parents, and something happens and they meet somebody that they think is from outer space but really isn't from outer space, is actually a time traveler. Excuse me, I'm in my wrong movies now. He travels...
There's so much going on.
Many.
You got all your stories mixed up.
He can travel through different dimensions.
Got it.
So there is our dimension, but there's also the toon dimension. And there's also the god dimension. You thought that the gods of Greek myth were fake? No, that's really just a different dimension, and they're here right now. And this traveler can go between them. And the young boy meets this friend, and things happen, and they have to kind of save the boy from being murdered.
You seem to like to do things a little bit sort of like the human condition and a sci-fi twist to it. Would you kind of say something like that?
Yes, I do. Maybe because I grew up watching sci-fi, and sci-fi was my first kind of love when I was an early reader. I love science fiction books. Not the kind as much as where there's so much technical, like the Star Wars sci-fi, as just like there's something a little odd about the universe, because sometimes don't you wonder whether we are
this
here?
This is an odd place. That's for sure. It's a very odd place.
Well, we're not alone. Maybe there is someone sitting right next to me. I don't know.
Well, this will be... So you're also now doing these documentaries where we're also going to be looking at the different religions.
Oh, yes.
What was it like? How did you kind of move into that?
We have a series on different religions, and we ask the different religions the exact same 10 questions. We don't edit, we don't cut, we don't do anything. Because we think that sometimes people have the wrong idea about a religion. They've heard about it, but they think one thing and it's really true. So we try and find an expert. We've done the Buddhist at a beautiful Buddhist temple in New Jersey. Very nice. It's where the Dalai Lama actually goes to stay when he's in the United States. And they answer the 10 questions, and it's amazing. And we don't interfere at all. That's where we're totally... We ask the questions, we don't comment, we don't edit, we don't do anything like that. And we hope that people will see that there are similarities and there are differences in the religions.
What kind of made you want to say this?
I think there's a lot of misunderstandings. I hear people say things about different religions, whether they say the Buddhists believe this, and yet I had to teach different comparative religions at some point in my career. And I know, well, that's not true. You're saying that, but that's not true. You're saying that they do this and like they don't believe this or they believe that, and it's not true. And you're kind of like saying it in a negative way, like, oh, they're this or they're that. And it's one thing to not believe something, it's another to believe the wrong thing.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I totally understand. I'm a little fascinated. I grew up with like a Catholic mother and a Muslim father. So that's why I understand. There's so many times I'm like, you guys are actually saying the exact same thing. You just sort of have a different cast of characters, but essentially it's the same. So
it's exactly right. Exactly right. And if you know one Catholic and that Catholic acts a certain way, and then you say, oh, Catholics all do this. Well, that's not what the religion believes.
Yeah.
You know, we're onto what does the official religion believe. Yeah. Because we all know sometimes we all change the rules when we want to change the rules a little bit. A little bit.
Man, just a little bit to
like
suit
if you
me
really need to have that hamburger on Friday, well, maybe it's not exactly required. So you want to have that pork? Well, I don't know.
Did you really give that up, or did you kind of give that up for Lent? Like, what's the parameters here?
But I agree. I think they're very similar, and that's my point. When I taught them, I found out that most people in the world are good people, and they believe that help one another, that we're here to do good. Yeah. You know, I think that's just true.
And I totally believe, because I've grown up in a lot of places, that essentially at the end of the day, we all want the exact same things. Exactly. You know, you want your kids to be okay. I want a roof over my head. I want to feel safe, no matter where in the world. Boil it down to, we all want the exact same thing, and all these other things seem to somehow get in the way, strangely.
Right, exactly. There's a line in Our Town where the narrator says something like, about ancient Rome, we only know about weak contracts or things, but people every day got up, they went to work, just like we do. Yeah. Just like in the whole world, that's what people do. Yeah, and they're not concerned, whatever's on the news is on the news, but we still have to go to work, we still have to earn a living, we still want to be healthy, we still want to be happy. It's the same. I agree.
So where can we see your videos or any things that you have? Do you have a website or anything?
Yes, we have. You can go to GiordanoWorks.com, which is GiordanoWorks.com. That's my last name. I'm Anthony Giordano. And you can go to YouTube and Google, search for Giordano Works, and you see all our videos on there also.
Great. What do we have coming up next from you?
We have the next installment of The Time Traveler, which should be coming up in a couple of months. And then we have the short story, which we're going to try and branch out this time and do much bigger production. We're renting a bus, and we're going to be at the beach where there'll be a lot of people. Usually my stories have 4 people in a small room. So this is going to be good coordination on my part, because I usually wind up doing the coordination.
Oh, you do?
Yes. And I leave the camera to the cameraman, with Eric Harvey. He's the cameraman. And I try and leave the directing now to Joe Harvey, because he's a young director, and sometimes they know a little more than I do about things. Like sometimes they might have a word that I thought, oh, that really means that? I didn't know that.
Oh, great. So you're into collaborating. Everybody put in their little
yes, but I am a believer in one vision. So whoever has the project, so if it's Joe's project, Joe gets to say, Anthony, don't do that. Because otherwise you have too many soup, too many cooks
in the kitchen.
That's right. And it doesn't come out right. Come out right. I'd much rather have one person's vision, and it's either right or wrong, and that's good, rather than half of my vision and half of somebody's vision. I don't think that works. I don't think that works. As an actor, I also say to the director all the time, I will do whatever you say. I might not like it, and I might not think I look good, but I will do it because you're the director. I just think that's the way it should be.
Yeah, I like it. Well, Anthony, it was a pleasure to meet you.
It's been cool.
I know we're all looking forward to the time traveling and dimension traveling and all kinds of traveling that we can get under our belts.
Yes.
So you guys know GiordanoWorks.com, and then you can also on YouTube, Giordano Works, and we'll see all you Filmmaker Focus NYC fans in a little bit.